Lina Rivera sat at table 14 in Copper and Vine on December 20th at exactly 7:15 p.m., holding the menu with both hands like it might tell her how to breathe. Everything about the place looked expensive, in the quiet, effortless way that made her feel like she'd walked into someone else's life by mistake. Brick walls washed in amber light, candles that smelled like cedar and money, couples leaning close like they never had to check their bank balances before ordering cocktails with names she couldn't pronounce. Lina had almost turned around the moment she stepped inside. She was about 5 seconds away from inventing a family emergency, anything dramatic enough to justify sprinting back out into the cold without looking like she'd been rejected by the idea of romance itself. Her dress didn't help. It was $12 from the thrift shop on Maple Street, the kind of dress that looked charming in her bathroom mirror and suddenly looked like a costume under restaurant lighting. She'd even taken extra time with mascara, because if she was going to do this blind date thing her little brother had begged her to try, she wanted to show up like someone who had choices. Her phone lay face up on the table, stubbornly blank. No new messages. The name at the top of their chat read, Adam Cole. Lina checked the time again, 7:18. 3 minutes late, and already her mind was writing a tragedy. He saw her pictures and changed his mind. He realized she wasn't the kind of woman you brought into a place like this. Any second now, her phone would buzz with an excuse. Traffic, illness, a sudden emergency. Code for, I don't want to meet you. It was exhausting. How quickly hope could turn into humiliation. She tried to swallow the tightness in her throat and glanced across the room. Behind the service station, Mariah, her co-worker from the breakfast shift at Sunrise Grill, caught her eye and gave her a discreet thumbs up. Lina managed a small nod back, the kind you give when you don't trust your mouth not to betray you. Her bank account had reached $139 until payday. She'd skipped lunch to afford the ride share because her car was being held together by duct tape and denial. She'd spent the whole day reminding herself this was just one evening, one attempt at being normal, one chance to sit at a table instead of carrying plates past it. 7:26. The front door opened. A tall man in a crisp button-down stepped inside, scanning the room with confidence. Lina's heart began to hammer so hard she thought she might faint straight into her water glass. When his gaze landed on her, he smiled like he already belonged at every table in the building. He walked over without hesitation. Maya Santos? For a second, Lina didn't even understand what he'd said. Then her stomach dropped, but her body stood up anyway, too fast, nearly knocking her chair back. Yes, hi, she said, voice high and thin. Yes, you must be Adam? The man blinked, then laughed like the mistake was cute. Yeah, sorry, traffic was insane coming from downtown. He sat down like he owned the moment, like it was already a story he could tell later. Lina tried to keep up. They made small talk. She mentioned her brother Mateo in community college, working nights at a movie theater. She admitted she pulled doubles on weekends. The man nodded, but his eyes kept flicking to his phone, like the table itself was boring him. So you work 2 jobs? He said, half joking, still staring at his screen. Do you ever sleep? Lina smiled because she'd practiced smiling through worse. Then his phone buzzed, loudly. He looked at it, frowned, looked at her, looked back down again, like he'd been handed a math problem. Wait, he said slowly, your last name is Rivera? Yes, Lina said, confused. Lina Rivera. His face went pale, then horrified. Oh my God, he whispered. I'm supposed to meet Lina Chen. My buddy set me up. I saw you sitting alone and just assumed. The chair scraped harshly as he stood. Heads turned. Conversations paused. This is super awkward, he said, already backing away. I'm sorry. I've got to go. My actual date is and then he was gone, crossing the room and sitting down with another woman in a red dress who smiled up at him like none of this had happened. Lina stayed frozen, heat flooding her face. It wasn't even rejection with dignity. It was rejection by accident. Loud, public, and somehow worse. Her hands shook as she grabbed her purse. She left a 20 on the table, even though she'd only ordered water, because the idea of waiting for change while strangers watched her fall apart made her chest feel too small. The tears came before she could stop them. Hot and humiliating. Mariah appeared beside her with a stack of napkins. "Lina, honey, what happened? Are you okay?" Lina shook her head, swiping at her cheeks. "Wrong person," she choked out. "He thought I was someone else. I need to leave. I need to leave right now." She was standing, pulling on her coat, when the front door opened again. Another man walked in. Khakis, a worn sweater, phone in hand, eyes scanning the room like he'd rather be anywhere else on earth. The hostess greeted him warmly. Lina heard her clearly. "Mr. Cole, your date is at table 14. Lina's whole body went cold. Table 14. Her table, which meant the man who'd just walked in, nervous, real, and looking painfully human, was the one she'd actually been waiting for. And she was sitting there crying, like the world had ended. Adam Cole looked toward table 14 and made direct eye contact with Lina. For half a heartbeat, he froze, like he was seeing the scene exactly as she feared it looked from the outside. A woman with tear-streaked cheeks, mascara threatening disaster, napkins clutched like life preservers. A humiliation still hanging in the air like smoke. Then Adam's expression shifted. The nervousness didn't disappear, but it softened into something else. Concern, careful and sincere. He walked over slowly, as if approaching a skittish animal. "Lina," he said gently. "I'm Adam. I'm so sorry I'm late." He glanced at Mariah, then back to Lina. "Are you okay? What happened?" Lina wanted the floor to open up and swallow her whole. "You're Adam," she blurted, and somehow that made her cry harder. "Oh my God, this is the worst first impression in human history. Some other guy sat here and thought I was his date, and then he realized I wasn't and left, like left, and everyone saw and I was about to leave and I'm sorry. You should probably just go. I'm clearly cursed." The words tumbled out in one breath. Lina pressed a napkin to her face, mortified by the sound of her own voice shaking. Adam didn't laugh. He didn't flinch. He just pulled out the chair across from her and sat down like there was nowhere else he'd rather be. "Hey," he said, calm and steady. "Breathe, it's okay. That guy was an idiot." Lina let out a broken hiccup of a laugh. "It was a mistake." "It was still rude," Adam said, and something in his tone made the knot in her chest loosen by a fraction. He rubbed the back of his neck, looking embarrassed in a way that felt oddly comforting. "Also, I fully almost didn't come in tonight." That startled her. Lina blinked at him. "Why?" Adam exhaled. "My 8-year-old daughter and my sister basically ambushed me into this date. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes having a full panic attack because I haven't been on a date in 4 years, and I genuinely forgot how to be a person." Lina stared, then laughed again, softer this time. "Your daughter set you up?" He smiled. An actual smile, not a polite one. "Ellie and my sister Tessa. They made me pinky promise I'd come inside." He held up his hand like he could still feel the vow. "And you can't break a pinky promise with a 3rd grader. I'm pretty sure it's legally binding." Lina wiped her cheeks, breathing a little more evenly. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, that makes me feel slightly less like the universe is targeting me personally." They started talking, and to Lina's surprise, it wasn't work. It flowed the way conversation only flows when you don't feel like you're auditioning to be chosen. Adam asked what happened, really asked, and listened like it mattered. Lina found herself telling him the truth, instead of the version she usually offered strangers, the version with less struggle in it. She told him about working mornings at Sunrise Grill, and picking up nights wherever she could, about her mother dying 2 years ago, and the medical bills that still arrived like cruel little reminders, about Matteo, her brother, and how she kept telling herself, one more year, then the debt is gone, then she can breathe. Adam's gaze didn't drift to his phone. He didn't interrupt. His face held that quiet seriousness people get when they're actually seeing you. That's a lot to carry, he said softly. You're holding your whole family together while working yourself into the ground. Do you ever get to just exist for yourself? Lina swallowed hard. Not really, but it's temporary. I keep telling myself that. Adam leaned forward, elbows on the table. For what it's worth, the guy who walked away is an idiot. His voice was gentle, but certain. You showed up tonight, even though you're exhausted. You take care of your brother, and you're still sitting here talking to me after the most embarrassing moment imaginable, instead of running. Heat rose into Lina's cheeks again, but this time it wasn't shame. It was something warmer, something unfamiliar. You don't even know me, she murmured. I know enough to respect you, Adam said. Then he glanced at his watch and chuckled like he couldn't believe time had moved. We've been here over an hour, and we haven't eaten anything. Do you want to get out of here and grab real food somewhere less fancy? Lina hesitated. Like where? There's a taco truck on Broad Street, Adam said, eyes brightening a little. Best al pastor I've ever had. Lina's mouth curved into a genuine smile before she could stop it. I know that truck, she admitted. I've picked up shifts there when they're slammed. Adam looked delighted, like she'd just handed him a miracle. Of course you have, he said, laughing. So you're telling me you're a taco expert and I was seconds away from embarrassing myself? They stood up together. Adam left cash on the table even though they'd only had water. On the way out, he nodded at Mariah, almost like a quiet thank you for staying near Lina when she'd needed someone. Outside, December air hit them sharp and clean. Christmas lights reflected off wet pavement. Lina pulled her coat tighter, and Adam fell into step beside her like it was natural. Can I tell you something? He asked as they reached the parking lot. Lina glanced up. Yeah, Adam's voice went softer. That guy rejecting you might be the best thing that happened to me all year. Because if he hadn't, you might have thought I stood you up, and we might have never met. Lina stopped walking and really looked at him. The tiredness in his eyes, the sincerity there too. The way he stood, like someone who had learned how to keep going, even when life cracked him open. So you're saying public humiliation is romantic? She asked, half laughing. Adam grinned, then shrugged. I'm saying sometimes the worst moment turns into the best one, if you stick around long enough to find out what happens next. And for the first time in a long time, Lina felt something inside her shift, not into certainty, not into fantasy, just into the smallest, bravest kind of possibility. The taco truck on Broad Street sat under a crooked streetlight, like it had been there forever, parked beside a row of tired storefronts, dressed up with Christmas garlands. A string of colored bulbs blinked above the window, and the air around it smelled like grilled pork, lime, and warm tortillas. Honest food, not the kind that came with foam and microgreens. Lina followed Adam to a rickety picnic table that looked like it had held 1,000 late-night confessions. Initials were carved into the wood, old hearts split down the middle by time. December wind slipped through the cracks in her coat, biting at her cheeks, but the heat from the truck's griddle made the cold feel bearable. Adam ordered like a man who hadn't eaten properly in days. Al pasta, carnitas, extra chips. And whatever that green salsa is, Lina told the guy at the window, because she recognized him, and he grinned like he already knew she would. When the food arrived, Adam ate with the quiet desperation of someone who'd been surviving on coffee and willpower. He got salsa, on the front of his sweater and didn't even notice until Lina laughed, covering her mouth with her hand. "What?" he asked, genuinely confused. "You've got—" She pointed, still laughing. Adam looked down, swiped the stain with a napkin like it was nothing, and went right back to talking. "Okay, so you said you work mornings and nights. How are you still upright?" Lina shrugged, but her shoulders ached just thinking about it. "You learn how to move even when you're tired. Like, your body complains, but it doesn't get a vote." Adam nodded slowly, eyes thoughtful. "That sounds familiar." They talked about small things first. Favorite movies, the weirdest customers they'd ever dealt with, how people acted like the world ended when their order was wrong. Then it slid into something deeper without either of them forcing it. Adam told her he taught high school English and that teaching teenagers was basically crowd control with occasional Shakespeare. Lina laughed so hard she almost choked on a tortilla chip. "I'm serious," he said, grinning. "One minute you're discussing metaphor, the next you're confiscating a vape and breaking up a fight about someone's ex." "You're brave," Lina said. He tilted his head. "Or I'm deeply unwell." The wind gusted again, and Lina tucked her wash-ins into her sleeves. Adam noticed and, without making it a big deal, shifted his body slightly, like he could block some of the cold for her. It was such a small thing, but Lina felt it anyway, the way you feel kindness when you've gone a long time without expecting it. Then Adam's voice changed, careful around the edges. "So, your mum," he said quietly between bites. "You mentioned medical bills." Lina's chest tightened with that familiar reflex, the instinct to shut the door on grief before it leaked out. "I'm sorry," Adam added quickly. "You don't have to. I don't want to pretend it didn't matter." Lina stared at her hands for a second, then let out a slow breath. "She passed 2 years ago," she said. "She was sick for a while. The bills came after, and they just kept coming. I'm almost done, though. Maybe another year, and I'm free." She said the last word like it was something she'd only heard about in stories. Adam's face softened. He reached across the table, and this time he didn't grab her hand, like a dramatic movie moment. He simply laid his fingers over hers, warm against the cold numbness. "I get it," he said. Something in his tone made Lina look up. Behind Adam's eyes, there was sadness that hadn't gone anywhere. Just learned how to sit quietly, like a shadow that followed him. "Ellie's mum," he said, voice low. "Her name was Nora. She died 4 years ago, December 21st. He swallowed. "It was sudden. One day, she was fine, then she wasn't, and I still don't really know how to talk about it." Lina's throat burned. 4 years, she whispered. Adam nodded, blinking hard thus. "Ellie was 4. She barely remembers her." He exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding this in all evening. "And I'm terrified all the time that I'm doing it wrong, that I'm not keeping Nora's memory alive the right way while also trying to be present for Ellie. Like, I'm failing at grief and parenting at the same time." The honesty hit Lina in a way that felt almost physical. Most people talked around pain. Adam looked straight at it and still stayed gentle. They sat there, holding hands over a picnic table outside a taco truck, and Lina thought, "This is the realest conversation I've had in years." "You're doing better than you think," she said softly. "Ellie asked you to come on this date. That means she wants you to be happy." Adam's mouth twitched into a sad smile. "She's been leaving notes around the house," he admitted. "Stuff like, 'I wish Dad would smile more.'" Lina's eyes stung. "Kids are terrifyingly wise." "They are," Adam agreed, and there was something grateful in his voice. "My sister says Nora would want me to have a friend. That's why they went full matchmaker mode and made the dating profile." Lina squeezed his hand, and he squeezed back, just once, like a promise that didn't need words. When they finally stood to leave, Lina's face was cold from the wind. but her chest felt warmer than it had in a long time. Not because everything was fixed, not because life had gotten easier, just because for a few hours she hadn't been alone inside her own story. 3 days later, Lina stood in front of her bedroom mirror, holding 2 sweaters like they were competing for the right to decide her fate. On the surface, it was a simple question, navy or cream. But underneath it was the truth she didn't want to say out loud. This wasn't just a date. Adam had texted her that morning and asked if she wanted to come to Ellie's school Christmas concert. A concert with his child. The word child made Lina's stomach flip. Meeting someone's kid felt bigger than candlelit tables and taco trucks. It felt like stepping into a room where you couldn't hide. Like being seen by the one person whose opinion mattered most. Not because a child should carry that weight, but because kids told the truth without even trying. Lina chose jeans and the cream sweater because she wasn't meeting royalty. She was meeting a 3rd grader with a violin. Still, her hands shook the whole drive to the elementary school. The parking lot was packed. Inside, the cafeteria had been transformed. Folding chairs lined up in neat rows, paper snowflakes taped to the walls, a crooked Christmas tree glittering in the corner. Parents filled the room with the soft chaos of winter coats and phone cameras held up like shields. Lina spotted Adam immediately. He'd saved 2 seats in the 3rd row, and when he saw her, his whole face changed. Like relief and happiness landed there at the same time. "You came," he said, as she slid into the chair beside him. "Of course," Lina replied, though her heart was pounding hard enough to be heard. Adam leaned in slightly. "Thank you," he murmured, and his voice held something deeper than politeness. The concert started with a wave of squeaky recorders and off-key singing that was so earnest it almost hurt. Lina found herself smiling without forcing it. The room smelled like popcorn and winter jackets. A little boy in the row ahead kept turning around to wave at someone, and his mother kept tugging him forward, laughing through her embarrassment. Then the school orchestra came out, and there was Ellie. She was tiny up on the stage, dark hair pulled into 2 braids, glasses sliding down her nose, holding her violin like it was precious. Her face was scrunched in concentration, tongue sticking out slightly as she watched the conductor. Lina's chest tightened. There was something about seeing a child try so hard, about how serious they looked when they cared, that made you want to protect every soft thing in the world. Ellie played beautifully, not perfect, not polished, but steady, determined, like she refused to give up even when her fingers stumbled. When it ended, the cafeteria erupted into applause that felt too big for such small musicians. Kids poured off the stage in a chaotic wave, as racing toward families. Ellie came running, still holding her violin case, and then she stopped short when she saw Lina beside her dad. The pause lasted only a second, but Lina felt it like a question. "You came," Ellie said, voice quiet, almost shy. Lina crouched down so they were eye level. "I wouldn't miss it," she said softly. "You were amazing up there." Ellie's face brightened like someone had turned on a light. "Really? Really," Lina promised. "How long have you been playing?" 2 years, soldiers, Ellie said proudly. "My mum played when she was little. Dad found her violin in the attic." Lina saw Adam's throat work as he swallowed. He looked away for a moment, like he needed to blink out the ache. Ellie reached into her backpack and pulled out a paperback book, worn, yellowed, corners bent from being loved. "This was my mum's favorite," she said, "A Little Princess. Dad reads it to me sometimes, but he does the voices wrong." Lina's heart cracked open because she recognized the cover, the exact same edition she'd read until the spine broke when she was little. "This was my favorite too," Lina whispered, almost stunned. I basically lived in this book." Ellie's eyes went huge. "No way." "Yes way," Lina said, smiling. Ellie looked up at Adam like she was about to win an argument. "See, it's a good book." Adam chuckled, wiping at one eye, like it was just dust. "I never said it wasn't good. I said my pirate voice was excellent." "It's not," Ellie said, dead serious, then turned back to Lina. "Will you read some with me?" Lina hesitated for half a second, not because she didn't want to, but because she understood the weight of what Ellie was offering. A space, a seat beside her, then she nodded. "I'd love to." They found a bench in the hallway outside the cafeteria. Lina opened the book carefully and began reading aloud. Ellie leaned against her shoulder, following along with her finger on the page like it mattered. Adam stood a few feet away, pretending to scroll his phone, while clearly trying not to cry. When Lina finished 2 chapters, Ellie looked up with sudden seriousness. "Do you like my dad?" she asked bluntly. Lina's breath caught, because kids didn't ask questions like that unless they'd already been thinking about the answer. Lina glanced toward Adam. He looked panicked now, like he wanted to interrupt, but didn't know how without making it worse. Lina turned back to Ellie and spoke gently, the way you speak when you're handling something fragile. "I like him a lot," she said. "And I really like you too." Ellie nodded, as if that settled something important inside her. "Good," she said, "because I asked Santa for someone nice, and you seem really nice." Lina's eyes burned, and she laughed softly, because crying in an elementary school hallway felt like the most honest thing she could do. Adam stepped closer, voice quiet. "Ellie?" "What?" Ellie asked, innocent. "Santa asked what I wanted." Adam looked at Lina, apology and tenderness all tangled together. "I'm sorry," he mouthed. Lina shook her head slightly, smiling through the sting in her eyes, because for the first time since her mum died, Lina felt something she hadn't realized she'd been missing. Not romance, not rescue, just the sense that she might belong somewhere again. Christmas Eve arrived the way it always did for Lina, too fast, too loud, and carrying a kind of ache that hid behind shiny decorations. Her schedule didn't care about holiday magic. She started at Sunrise Grill before the sun came up, pouring coffee for families in matching pajamas, smiling at kids sticky with excitement, pretending she wasn't running on 4 hours of sleep and pure muscle memory. By noon, her feet already felt swollen inside her shoes. By 2:00 p.m., she was clocking out, driving straight to Copper and Vine for her evening shift, the fancy restaurant where people tipped like money didn't hurt. She was half asleep refilling sugar caddies when the bell above the diner door chimed. Lina looked up. Adam walked in, and behind him, bundled in a puffy coat with a knit hat pulled low, Ellie trailed in like a small shadow, cheeks pink from the cold. For a second, Lina forgot how to breathe. They slid into a booth in her section like it was the most normal thing in the world. Ellie climbed into the seat, with the seriousness of someone arriving for an important meeting. "Hi," Adam said. Adam said, a little sheepish, like he knew this was bold. "Hi," Lina managed, and her voice came out softer than she intended. Ellie placed a folded piece of paper on the table and pushed it toward Lina with both hands. "I made you something," she said. Lina unfolded it carefully. It was a crayon drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands, surrounded by hearts that filled nearly every inch of the page. Above their heads, in big uneven letters, Ellie had written, "Dad, Ellie, after Lina." Lina's throat tightened so fast it startled her. She turned her head as if to grab napkins, because she could not, absolutely could not, start crying in the middle of the breakfast rush. Adam watched her, eyes gentle. "She insisted," he said quietly. Ellie nodded firmly. "It's true," she added, like that settled it. Lina blinked hard, then returned to the table with menus and the best smile she could manage. Adam ordered pancakes. Ellie ordered chocolate chip waffles. Lina wrote it down, hands steady by practice, even while her chest felt like it was splitting open in slow motion. When she brought the food, Ellie ate with joyful focus, humming to herself between bites. Adam kept glancing at Lina in a way that wasn't needy, just attentive, like he wanted to memorize the fact that she was real, that she existed in the same space as him, not just in a late-night text thread. When Lina brought the check later, Adam slid it toward himself, then paused and pulled a pen from his pocket. He wrote something on the back of the receipt and pushed it to her instead. Ellie leaned forward, eyes bright. "Read it." Lina flipped it over. "Ellie wants to know if you'll come over tomorrow for Christmas breakfast. No pressure, but also she really wants you to say yes." Lina's heart thumped painfully. Yes was the word sitting on her tongue. Yes was what her whole body wanted. Warm kitchen, someone's home. The sound of laughter that wasn't happening across a restaurant table you were serving. But then reality arrived like it always did. She looked at Adam, saw hope there, and it made her stomach twist. Lina grabbed the pen, wrote back carefully, and handed it to him with a helpless apology in her eyes. "Chung, I work until 11 tonight. Then I start at 6 a.m., and I'm there until 2. And I'm so sorry." She watched Adam read it. His face fell for a moment. Not dramatic, not angry, just disappointed, in that quiet way that made Lina feel like she'd failed at something she desperately wanted to do right. Ellie's shoulders slumped too, just slightly, and Lina wanted to gather her up like a blanket. "I'm sorry," Lina whispered. I really can't call out." Adam looked up. "Hey," he said gently. "Don't apologize. You're working. You're doing what you have to do." Ellie poked her waffle with her fork like it had betrayed her. "Okay," she said, but her voice was small. Lina walked away and kept serving tables, but her heart stayed stuck in that booth long after Adam and Ellie left. That night at Copper and Vine, the restaurant glittered with holiday diners and champagne glasses, and Lina moved through it all like a ghost. She told herself it was better this way. She told herself she couldn't step into someone's Christmas morning when she was barely holding her own life together. And still, when she crawled into bed after midnight, exhaustion crushing her bones, she stared at the ceiling and felt the familiar loneliness bloom. Because wanting something didn't make it possible. And sometimes that was the cruelest part. Christmas morning dragged. Lina's shift at Sunrise Grill felt endless. Plates clattering, kids laughing, parents tipping extra, like kindness could fix the world. Lina smiled until her cheeks hurt. She refilled coffee until the smell of it made her nauseous. She watched families slide into booths together and wondered what it would feel like to wake up somewhere warm, to be expected. She tried not to picture Adam and Ellie eating breakfast without her. She tried not to imagine Ellie's disappointed little okay. Her shift ended at 2:15 p.m. Lina walked out into the parking lot, the cold hitting her like a slap. She tugged her coat tighter and headed toward her car, already thinking about the next thing she had to do. Laundry, groceries, maybe a nap, if life was generous. Then she stopped. Adam's car was parked beside hers, and Adam and Ellie were sitting on the hood, bundled up like they'd been waiting there forever. Ellie hopped down the moment she saw Lina. "We brought you Christmas breakfast for lunch," she announced, holding up a thermos like it was a trophy. Lina stared, blinking like she didn't trust her eyes. Adam slid off the hood more slowly, smiling in that soft, slightly tired way she'd started to recognize. "You said you got off at 2, he said, "so we figured we'd come to you." Ellie waved a paper bag. "Cinnamon rolls," she said proudly, "and Dad made hot chocolate." Lina's chest caved in. The tears came immediately, humiliating and unstoppable, right there in the diner parking lot. She pressed her hand over her mouth, shaking her head as if she could deny what was happening inside her. Adam's expression turned tender, almost pained. "Nobody's ever waited for me," Lina choked out, voice breaking. "I always work holidays. I always miss everything." Adam stepped closer and pulled her into a hug. Careful, steady, like he was giving her something she hadn't realized she was allowed to receive. His sweater smelled faintly like laundry soap and winter air. "Well," he murmured into her hair, "that ends today." They sat on the curb beside their cars, a strange little picnic in a cracked parking lot. Ellie poured hot chocolate into paper cups from the thermos with exaggerated seriousness, like she was hosting a fancy tea party. Lina laughed through tears, wiping her cheeks with her sleeve. The cinnamon rolls were still warm. Lina took a bite and felt something inside her soften, the kind of softness that came when someone did something small that meant something huge. Ellie chattered non-stop, telling Lina about the art supplies Santa had brought her and how she was going to draw a comic book that has a dragon and also a teacher who fights bad guys with books. Lina nodded along, genuinely delighted, because Ellie had the kind of imagination that made the world feel less heavy. Adam watched them with a quiet look that Lina couldn't fully read. When Ellie ran back to the car to grab napkins, Adam turned to Lina, voice low. "I know this is fast," he said, "and probably crazy, but I haven't felt this alive in 4 years. His throat bobbed as he swallowed. "You make me remember what hope feels like." Lina stared at him, heart thudding. It scared her how much she wanted to believe him. It scared her how good it felt to be seen. Not as a project, not as a pity story, but as someone worth showing up for. Before Lina could answer, Ellie returned and climbed onto the curb between them like she belonged there. She took Lina's hand with sticky finger confidence and then grabbed Adam's too. "Okay," Ellie said firmly, as if she was making an official decision. "Now we're doing Christmas." Lina looked down at their hands. 3 people linked together by a child's simple certainty, and felt her eyes sting all over again. She didn't know what would happen next, but sitting there in the cold, with cinnamon on her tongue and warmth in her chest, Lina realized something she hadn't let herself think in a long time. Maybe she didn't have to earn every good thing by suffering first. Maybe sometimes good things came because someone chose to bring them to you. 4 days after Christmas, Lina stood in Adam's living room, helping Ellie build a Lego set that promised, on the box, a Winter Village bakery with tiny gingerbread men and a miniature oven door that actually opened. Ellie was on the rug, legs folded under her, tongue peeking out in concentration as she snapped pieces together. Lina sat cross-legged beside her, passing bricks like she'd been doing this her whole life. Adam hovered nearby, pretending to tidy up, but Lina could feel him watching them, quiet, stunned, almost reverent, as if he couldn't believe his home contained laughter again. The house smelled like pine and dish soap. A half-decorated tree stood in the corner with paper ornaments Ellie had made at school, uneven and perfect. Everything felt ordinary in the best way, which made Lina's guard lower before she realized it was happening. Then the doorbell rang. Adam frowned. "That'll be my sister," he said, but his tone held uncertainty, like he hadn't been expecting anyone. He opened the door. 2 older people stepped inside, well-dressed, in that polished, Florida retired kind of way. The woman's hair was perfectly set. The man's smile was polite without being warm. Their eyes moved through the space quickly, assessing. Adam's entire posture changed. His shoulders went stiff. "Diane," he said carefully. "Paul." Ellie jumped to her feet like she'd been launched. "Grandma! Grandpa!" she squealed, running into their arms. The woman, Diane, hugged her tightly, then held her at arm's length to look at her face. "Hello, sweetheart," she said. "We surprised you." Paul patted Ellie's shoulder, then looked past her to Adam with a nod. "We were in the area." Lina stood up slowly, wiping her palms on her jeans, even though they weren't sweaty. Her heart began to beat in that anxious, familiar rhythm, like her body already sensed trouble before her mind did. Ellie turned, glowing with excitement, and grabbed Lina's hand. "This is Lina," she announced, like she was presenting something precious. She reads A Little Princess with me, and she knew it was Mom's favorite book too. The air shifted. Lina watched Diane's body go rigid. So subtle, Ellie didn't notice. Diane's smile stayed on, but it froze, like someone had hit pause. "How lovely," Diane said, voice sweet in a way that didn't reach her eyes. That was Nora's special book with Ellie. Adam cleared his throat, stepping forward. "Mum, they were just reading." "It's fine," Diane said quickly, still smiling. "I'm glad Ellie has been entertained." The word entertained landed like a quiet insult. Lina's cheeks warmed, but she kept her expression calm because she'd spent years learning how to swallow discomfort and keep working. Paul's gaze drifted to Lina, then away again like she was furniture. "And you are?" he asked, not unkindly, but not kindly either. Lina forced a small smile. "I'm Lina." Diane hummed, eyes flicking to Adam as if he should explain her existence. "Adam, could we speak for a moment?" Adam hesitated. "Now?" Diane's smile tightened. "Yes?" Adam glanced at Lina, apology flashing across his face, then nodded. "Ellie," he said gently, "keep building with Lina, okay? I'll be right back." Ellie nodded, unbothered. "Okay." Adam followed Diane and Paul down the hallway. Lina tried to focus on the Lego pieces, but her stomach had already dropped through the floor. Ellie talked happily, snapping bricks together. "Grandma makes cookies," she said, "but she cries sometimes when she thinks I'm not looking." Lina's throat tightened. She didn't know what to say to that, so she just handed Ellie another piece. Then she heard it. Not words at first, just the sharp edge of urgency in Diane's whisper. "It's too soon," Diane hissed, quiet but intense. "Ellie is getting attached. What if this doesn't work out?" Adam's voice came back low, strained. "Mom, see, you can't replace Nora," Diane continued, the words cutting. "You can't bring the first woman who pays attention to you into Ellie's life just because you're lonely." Lina's breath stopped. Her hands went cold. Slowly, carefully, she set down the juice box she'd been holding, because at some point, she'd stood up to get Ellie a drink and now she was just standing there frozen. The hallway sounded far away, like she was underwater. Adam's voice rose slightly. "That's not what this is." Diane's whisper sharpened again. "Then what is it? A distraction? A phase? Ellie needs stability. Nora's gone, Adam, and we're still here. You can't..." Lina didn't listen to the rest, because the first part had already lodged in her chest like a splinter. The first woman who pays attention to you. Like she was interchangeable, like she was temporary by default. Lina walked back into the living room with the careful calm of someone carrying a fragile glass. Ellie looked up. "Did you get my juice?" Lina forced a smile. "I did," she said softly, setting it down. "Hey, sweetie, I just remembered I have to leave soon." Ellie's face fell instantly. "Why?" "I have..." Lina swallowed. "Work." It was a lie, but it felt easier than telling the truth. "Your grandma thinks I'm a problem, and maybe she's right." Adam came back into the living room a minute later, face tight. "Lina!" She was already pulling on her coat, hands shaking as she found her keys. "Don't listen to them," Adam said quickly, following her to the door. "They're just protective. They don't mean it." Lina laughed once, breathless and broken. "They meant it," she whispered, and I heard it. Outside, cold air slapped her cheeks. She walked toward her car, like if she stopped moving, she might fall apart on his front steps. Adam caught her hand. "Lina, don't do this." Her voice cracked as she turned to him. "They're right," she said, the words tasting like rust. "I'm a waitress with debt and exhaustion and nothing stable to offer. You're a teacher with this beautiful kid who needs certainty." Her eyes burned. "I can't be the reason Ellie loses her grandparents. I can't be the person who causes problems in your family." Adam's grip tightened. "You're not causing problems, you're not..." Lina pulled her hand back gently, like it hurt to let go. "This is too complicated," she said, tears finally spilling. "And I'm too much work." Then she got in her car and drove away before Adam could say the one thing that might have made her stay. That night, Lina didn't go to work. She picked up an extra shift the next day anyway, because being busy was easier than being heartbroken. She ignored Adam's calls. She ignored his texts. She told herself she was doing the right thing. And still, she cried herself to sleep 3 nights in a row, clutching her pillow like it could hold together all the places inside her that were coming undone. New Year's Eve turned Copper and Vine into a glittering machine. Champagne popped behind the bar. Reservations stacked like dominoes. People arrived dressed like the new year owed them something, laughing too loudly, drinking too fast, trying to outrun whatever was waiting for them at midnight. Lina worked the floor with a practiced smile that didn't belong to her. She kept her head down. She kept moving. She told herself she could make it through the night if she didn't think about Adam's hands, Ellie's earnest eyes, the warmth of cinnamon rolls on a cold curb. Then she looked up from a tray of wine glasses and saw Adam walking toward her. For one breath, Lina's whole body locked. He looked different. Tired, yes, but also determined, like he'd made a decision and refused to let fear undo it. His cheeks were pink from the cold. His hair was slightly damp, as if he'd run his hands through it too many times. "Adam," Lina whispered, glancing around. "Please don't do this here. I need to tell you something," he said, voice low but steady. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out an envelope, worn, creased, like it had been opened and refolded 100 times. Lina's heart stuttered. "What is that?" Adam swallowed. "A letter Nora wrote?" Lina's stomach dropped. "Adam, Ellie opened it tonight," he said quickly, as if the words were chasing him. "It's labeled, 'When Dad starts dating again.' She found it, and she asked me to come find you." His eyes glistened. "Lina, please, just listen." The restaurant buzzed around them, oblivious. Lina's manager passed by and caught her expression, then nodded once. Take your break." Lina's legs felt unsteady as she followed Adam to the corner, to table 14. The same table where she'd been crying when her whole story with him began. Her hands shook as she sat down. The candlelight blurred at the edges because tears were already gathering, whether she wanted them or not. Adam sat across from her like he belonged there, like he'd earned the right to be in her life by showing up when it was messy. He opened the envelope carefully, like it was made of glass. His voice broke on the first words. "Dear Ellie," he read, and had to pause to breathe. Lina pressed her hand over her mouth, bracing herself. "If you're reading this," Adam continued, swallowing hard, "it means Daddy found someone special. And sweetheart, I'm so happy." Lina's eyes filled instantly. Adam's gaze flicked up to her for a split second, then back to the page as he forced himself to keep going. "I need you to know that loving someone new doesn't erase me." His voice trembled. "Your heart is big enough for both of us." Lina's tears fell silently onto the tablecloth. She tried to wipe them away, but they kept coming, unstoppable. "Make sure she knows she's not replacing me," Adam read, voice cracking. "She's adding to our family. We're just getting bigger." The air felt thick with tenderness and grief. Adam's hands shook slightly as he steadied the letter. "And tell Daddy," he read, "stop being scared and stop feeling guilty. I wanted forever with you, but since I can't have it, I want you to have it with someone else. Love doesn't run out, baby girl. It multiplies." Lina made a soft, broken sound, half sob, half laugh, because the words hit something deep inside her. The place where she'd always believed love was scarce, something you had to deserve before it disappeared. Adam finished, voice barely above a whisper. "Love, Mum." For a moment, neither of them moved. The restaurant noise faded into background hum, Lina sat there, full on crying, and didn't even care. Mascara, tears, everything. She'd spent so long trying to be composed. And here was a letter from a woman she'd never met, giving her permission to exist. Adam folded the letter carefully and looked at her with wet eyes. "Ellie asked me to find you," he said. "She said you needed to hear that." Lina's chest hurt with how much she loved that child. "And Lina," Adam continued, voice firm now, grounded, "you're not too much. You're not a complication. You're the person who reminded me what living feels like instead of just surviving." Lina shook her head, wiping her face with a napkin that immediately disintegrated. "What about Diane and Paul?" she whispered. "What about her grandparents?" Adam's jaw set, quiet strength in the line of it. "I talked to them," he said. "I told them Nora would want me happy, and Ellie deserves to see love, not just grief." His eyes softened. "They want to apologize to you. They want to try, if you're willing to try." Lina stared at him, heart pounding, fear and hope fighting inside her like weather, because wanting something didn't make it safe. But sometimes safety wasn't the starting line. Sometimes it was something you built slowly together by choosing to come back. New Year's Day arrived quiet, like the world was holding its breath after the noise of midnight. Lina sat in her car outside Adam's house for almost 5 minutes, hands resting on the steering wheel, heart thudding like it wanted to climb out of her chest. The sky was a pale winter gray. Her breath fogged the windshield. She could still hear the letter in her head. Love doesn't run out. It multiplies. And it scared her how badly she wanted to believe it. She got out anyway. The porch steps creaked under her boots. Before she could second-guess herself, the front door opened. Diane stood there with red eyes, like she'd been crying. Her hair was still perfect, but something about her face looked softer, worn down by guilt and grief both. "Lina," Diane said, voice quieter than the last time. "Thank you for coming." Lina's throat tightened. She nodded once because if she spoke, she might start crying again. Inside, the living room felt warmer than Lina remembered. The Christmas tree was still up, lights glowing faintly. Ellie was on the floor, surrounded by Lego pieces, building with intense focus like she was pretending not to listen, even though her ears were absolutely tuned in. Adam stood near the couch. The moment he saw Lina, relief flickered across his face. Quick, grateful, controlled only by effort. "Hey," he said softly. "Hey," Lina answered. Diane gestured toward the couch as if offering peace. "Please, sit." Lina lowered herself onto the edge of the cushion like she didn't fully trust gravity. Her hands twisted together in her lap. Paul sat in the armchair opposite, posture straight, eyes fixed on Lina with a seriousness that felt like he was measuring his words before speaking. Diane took a breath that trembled. "We were wrong," she said. The simplicity of it startled Lina. She'd expected defensiveness. She'd expected excuses. Diane's voice cracked slightly. "We thought we were protecting Ellie, but we weren't seeing clearly." Her hands clasped together so tight, her knuckles whitened. "Nora was our daughter. She was everything." Lina swallowed, feeling a sudden tenderness in her chest she hadn't planned for. Because grief made people sharp sometimes. It made them hold too tightly. It made them afraid of anything new. Because new felt like betrayal. Diane blinked fast, tears gathering again. "I heard Ellie talking about you," she continued. "About how you read with her, about how she laughs more, about how Adam," Diane's voice wavered, "about how Adam smiles when you're around." Paul cleared his throat and nodded once. "That's true," he said, voice steady but thick, "and it matters." Diane looked at Lina directly now, eyes raw. "Nora would have wanted Adam to live," she said. "Not just exist. She would have wanted Ellie to grow up seeing love in the house again." Diane exhaled shakily. "We were wrong to make you feel like you weren't enough. Lina's vision blurred. She pressed her fingers to her mouth, trying to hold herself together. Paul leaned forward slightly. "You make our son-in-law happy," he said, and the words sounded like they cost him something to admit. "That's all Nora ever wanted for him. We're sorry." The room went silent for a moment, filled only by the small click of Lego pieces as Ellie kept building, pretending she wasn't listening. Then Ellie popped up like she couldn't take it anymore and ran straight to Lina. She climbed into Lina's lap with the confident urgency of a child who believed her needs were allowed to be spoken. Lina wrapped her arms around her automatically, like her body understood what her heart had been resisting. Ellie looked up at her, eyes wide and serious. "Does this mean you're staying?" she asked. Lina's throat closed. She looked at Adam, saw the fear there, because even now, he didn't assume he'd win. She looked back at Ellie and kissed the top of her head. "Yeah, baby," Lina whispered. "I'm staying." Ellie let out a breath like she'd been holding it for days, then grinned and hugged Lina so hard it almost hurt. "Good," she said into Lina's sweater, "because I already told my teacher you're my friend." Lina laughed through tears. "Oh no," she sniffed. "Now it's official." Adam's eyes shone. He turned away slightly, rubbing at his face like he had dust in his eye. But Lina knew what it was, because sometimes healing didn't look like a dramatic moment. Sometimes it looked like a quiet room, a hard apology, and a child climbing into your lap as if you belonged there. And maybe, just maybe, you did. 5 months later, Lina walked out of the bank holding a receipt that felt heavier than paper. The last of her mum's medical bills, gone. She stood on the sidewalk for a full minute, blinking at the winter sunlight, like her body didn't know what to do without the constant pressure of debt squeezing her ribs. When she finally got into her car, she didn't cry right away. She just sat there with her hands on the steering wheel, breathing like someone who'd been underwater and had finally surfaced. That night, she quit her second job. Copper and Vine had been good to her, but Lina could feel her life beginning to open, just enough space to imagine something beyond survival. Adam celebrated quietly the way he did everything, making tacos at home and letting Ellie sprinkle cheese like it was confetti. Later, when Ellie was in bed, Adam pulled out his laptop. "You mentioned once you wanted to go back to school," he said casually, like it wasn't a big deal. Lina blinked. "I said that one time." Adam smiled, eyes warm. "I listened." He helped her look at online college programs, teaching programs, part-time options, financial aid. For the first time in a long time, Lina let herself imagine a future that wasn't just paying off the past. Ellie started calling her Lina, but her drawings began to change. One day, Lina found a picture on the fridge, labeled in careful third-grade handwriting, "My bonus mom." Hearts everywhere. Lina stared at it for a long moment, then pressed her palm to the paper like she could feel the love through crayon. On a Saturday in early spring, the three of them drove out to the cemetery where Nora was buried. Adam said her favorite flowers were sunflowers, so Lina brought a bouquet, bright and impossible like little suns. The air smelled like damp earth and new grass. They stood in front of the headstone, in quiet. Ellie placed a small Lego flower at the base and whispered something Lina couldn't hear. Adam's arm slid around Lina's shoulders, steady and familiar. "I talk to her sometimes," Lina admitted softly after a while. "Like, in my head." She swallowed. "I thank her. For Ellie, for you." She glanced up at him, embarrassed. "Is that completely insane?" Adam shook his head, eyes gentle. "No," he said. "It's perfect." He looked at the headstone, then back at Lina. "She'd really like you." 7 months after that first night, Adam texted Lina and told her to meet him at Copper and Vine for dinner. Lina showed up confused, because they usually avoided fancy places in favor of taco trucks and diner booths. But when the hostess led her across the restaurant, Lina's breath caught. Table 14, the exact same table, Her pulse kicked hard. She turned and saw Adam already standing, eyes bright with something nervous and beautiful. "A year ago," he said softly, "you were sitting right here, crying, after some idiot walked away from you." He smiled, then shook his head, like he still couldn't believe it. "And I walked in thinking I was about to suffer through the worst blind date of my life." Lina's throat tightened. "Adam, I found you," he interrupted, voice thick with emotion. "And somehow you stayed." He inhaled, then stepped back and lowered himself to one knee. The restaurant seemed to tilt. The noise faded. Lina could hear her own heartbeat like a drum. Adam pulled a small ring box from his pocket and opened it. "Lina Rivera," he said, voice trembling but sure. "You showed Ellie that family can grow without erasing what came before. You showed me that loving again isn't betraying the past." His eyes shone. "Will you marry us?" Before Lina could answer, a small figure popped up from behind him. Ellie, grinning, cheeks flushed with excitement. Behind her, Adam's sister Tessa hovered, smiling like she'd been holding this secret for weeks. "Please say yes," Ellie whispered loudly, as if stage volume was required. "I helped pick the ring, and if you say no, I'm going to be so embarrassed." Lina laughed and sobbed at the same time. "Yes," she managed, voice shaking. "Oh my God, yes, of course, yes." The restaurant erupted in applause. Mariah, working a shift that night, appeared out of nowhere, with champagne, like the universe was determined to complete the circle. "I knew it," she said, beaming. "From the first night, I knew you two were it." 4 months later, they married in a small fall ceremony because Adam and Lina both agreed Christmas belonged to Nora's memory. Matteo walked Lina down the aisle, his eyes shiny with pride. Ellie was the flower girl, carrying a basket of petals with Nora's photo tucked inside, protected like something sacred. Adam's vows destroyed everyone. "You taught me hearts don't replace," he said, voice breaking. "They expand. Nora gave me Ellie, and you gave me hope. Together you gave me a future I didn't think I deserved." When it was Lina's turn, her hands shook around the microphone. "I thought getting rejected that night was the worst moment of my life," she said, voice trembling with laughter and tears. "Turns out, it was the beginning of the best one." Ellie insisted on giving a speech, even though she was only 9. She stood on a chair so everyone could see her. "My mum wanted my dad to smile again," she announced, proud and certain, "and Lina makes him smile every single day." She paused, then added with the seriousness of someone delivering truth. "I think they're friends now, my 2 mums, and I'm really lucky I get to keep both of them." There wasn't a dry eye in the whole place. At the reception, Lina stood in front of the memory table where Nora's photo sat, surrounded by candles. Lina touched the frame gently. "Thank you," she whispered, "for raising such a good man. For Ellie." Her voice shook. "I promise I'll take care of them." Adam appeared behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "She would have loved you," he murmured. "Probably would have tried to steal you as her best friend." Ellie ran up and grabbed both their hands. "Can we dance now?" she asked. "They're playing the good songs." The 3 of them walked onto the dance floor together and swayed to music that was slightly too fast for slow dancing. Lina looked down at Ellie between them, bright-eyed, safe, happy, and then up at Adam, who was watching her like she was something he'd almost lost. Lina thought about that first night, how she'd been crying, convinced rejection meant the end of her story, and how, somehow, it had been the doorway instead, because love didn't divide. It multiplied, it made room, it grew to fit everyone who deserved a place in it.